You feel it, don't you? That strange tug on your heart. A name you tried to forget keeps echoing silently inside you. Despite the distance, despite the silence, despite all your prayers asking Allah to erase them. But what if this isn't a flaw in your healing? What if this is a divine delay? Because maybe, just maybe, Allah isn't done yet. The heart that won't let go beyond logic. The attachment that lingers, you told yourself, it's over, I've moved on. But somehow, they still visit you. In the silence between thoughts, in dreams you never asked for, in random moments that echo their presence. This isn't weakness. It's not obsession. It's the soul quietly holding on to something it once called home. Distance, silence, and the persistent presence they're far now. Maybe gone for good. But that doesn't stop your heart from hearing a whisper when no one's speaking. Why? Because this bond was never made with words or promises. It was written between hearts. Unseen, unspoken, but still there. Still alive, still not letting go. What if this was from Allah? Emotional clinging or divine reminder? What if your heart still holding on isn't a flaw, but a sign? Not of weakness, but of divine wisdom. What if Allah is using this ache to draw you closer? He doesn't always guide through grand signs. Sometimes it's a quiet ache, a name that lingers, a moment that keeps revisiting, not to torment, but to teach. Not rejection, but realignment. Maybe this isn't about losing. Maybe it's about learning. Maybe Allah allowed this connection to soften you, to humble you, to prepare you for something greater. What looks like silence from Him might actually be the deepest form of care. Because when Allah takes, it's never without purpose. It's to protect, purify, and eventually replace with something better. The silence that speaks volumes, the spiritual void, isn't emptiness. There's a silence so deep, it shakes the soul. A numbness after repeated du'as, when your voice trembles, but nothing seems to echo back. You start to wonder, has Allah turned away? But no, this isn't absence. It's divine presence, hidden in stillness. Divine withdrawal, not abandonment. Ali's silence isn't rejection. It's protection. A barrier not to push you away, but to guard you from what you don't yet understand. You feel paused, suspended, but behind the curtain, He's realigning your path, reshaping your heart. He's not quiet because He's forgotten you. He's quiet because He's healing you in ways only silence allows. You're being rebuilt. In the ruins, why it had to crumble, you gave it your all. Prayed with hope, held on with faith. But still, it slipped through your hands. Why? Because Allah doesn't let you build on what can't hold your future. Before He gives you what lasts, He removes what was only temporary. The collapse that cleanses, not destroys. This fall isn't failure, it's foundation work. Allah tears down what's fragile to rebuild something unshakable. Not to hurt you, but to clear the space for what's meant for you. So don't curse the collapse. It's the beginning of something far more beautiful. When Allah says, I'm not done, the thread you didn't tie, you let go. You stopped reaching out. You moved on, or at least you tried. But somehow it lingers. Not because you're holding on, but because Allah tied the thread. And what He ties, no distance can break. No silence can erase. No timeline can end. Unseen. Connections unbreakable by distance. They live in your du'as, even unspoken. They show up in dreams, in verses, in signs you didn't ask for. Because the bond wasn't built on emotion. It was written by divine wisdom. Until Allah says, it's over. That thread will stay, not as a burden, but as a reminder. He's not done with the story yet. Your pain isn't invisible to Allah. The unspoken dua of the night. Yea, Allah. Why this pain? That broken whisper in the dark. the tears no one sees, the ache you can't explain. It all reaches him. Even when the world is asleep, he is not distant. He is listening. Divine mercy in disguise. What you thought was heartbreak was actually his hand gently pulling you away from what was never meant to hold your peace. A painful mercy, not to crush you, but to clear the space for something real. Because sometimes Allah breaks your heart to rebuild it around him. The remodel of the soul, the death of the old. Yeah, you're not lost. You're shedding. It's the old version of you, the one who clung to control, who chased love without surrender, who planned without placing Allah at the center. That version is fading. Rebirth in stillness, this silence, this strange stillness inside you, it's not emptiness, it's reconstruction. Your soul is being rewired to trust more, fear less, and love deeper with Allah first. You're not broken. You're becoming. Allah's timeline is not yours. Delays are not denials. You look at the clock, at the calendar, and wonder, why hasn't it happened yet? But Allah doesn't move by your deadlines. He's not delayed, he's deliberate. What feels like waiting is actually weaving, aligning the unseen pieces of a greater plan. Prepared hearts, not just prepared lives. It's not just about reaching the milestone. It's about becoming the person who can carry the blessing. Allah holds it back, not to deprive you, but to deepen you. Because when it arrives, it won't just fit your life, it will fit your soul. When you start praying differently from bring them back to make me ready. There was a time your dua trembled with longing. Ya Allah, bring. But now, it's soft into surrender. Ya Allah, prepare me for what's meant. That shift isn't weakness. That's healing. That's faith maturing through pain. Maturity. Born from pain, real growth happens when you stop begging for what left and start becoming who you were always meant to be. You stop chasing a person and start chasing Allah's timing, your own healing, and a love that's written with truth, not fear. Because true love begins when you become the version of yourself who no longer begs, but trusts the invisible. Thread the bond that wasn't yours to break you. Let go. You cut ties. You did everything you could to move on. But the connection still lingers soft, silent, unshaken, because you didn't tie it. And unless Allah unties it, it remains. When souls remember what the mind forgets, there are moments your soul whispers a name your heart thought it buried. Because some connections aren't just emotional, they're written. And what Allah writes doesn't end in chaos. It doesn't leave you lost. It ends in clarity, in wisdom, in peace. Not always the ending you expected, but always the one your soul needed. Allah awakens through loss chosen for pain, loved through purification. Some souls, He awakens through blessings, others through loss. Because pain creates openings no light can enter otherwise. The ones Allah purifies the most perhaps. He chose you for the deeper journey, not because you're weak, but because your soul was meant to carry more. Not a coincidence. A call the scroll that finds you're not here by accident. This message? It's a mirror your soul recognized before your brain understood. The soul recognizes what the eyes can't see. Some reminders are for the heart, not the head. You're being reminded of something you already know deep within. The deserted heart can the gentle rain spiritual droughts. Prepare for rain even. Scorched land holds seeds beneath. Sometimes the rain is not loud. It's a message. A dream. A sudden peace. When Allah waters what felt long dead one day, your heart will bloom again. Not because the person returned, but because you did. It's a sacred prologue. Not the end losing to be found again. That separation? It was not a punishment. It was the first chapter in a deeper story. The realignment before reunion, because when He brings you together again, if that is His will, it won't be chaotic. that it will be peaceful. Because this time, it won't just be about love. It will be about Allah at the center. Conclusion, maybe it wasn't over. Maybe it never was. You were not being forgotten. You were being refined. Sometimes, the loss was love in disguise. Sometimes, the distance was divine protection. And maybe, just maybe, this story isn't ending. It's just beginning again on better ground with a better you. Trust the author of your story. Because when Allah says, "I'm not done," no force can stop what's written to return.